So it's not because of Odell that Baker Mayfield started figuring it out. And now it is confidence for Baker because he knows he can do it without Odell. And now you're going to add a great wide receiver to an already talented offense. I think
episode 21. I am your host, E, aka Ethan, and I'm with a special guest that's been on my podcast not once, not twice. Now it's going to be his third time coming onto the podcast. He was on the podcast with Jared last time. You know him. He's a loving Cleveland guy, Payton Doyle. How you doing, Payton?
I'm doing great, E. Great to be back on. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man. Episode 21 on E on the mic is brand new, man. It's crazy to think about that. I got 21 episodes on this show right here, and many more to come, especially with Cleveland not making it to the Super Bowl last year.
I mean, hey, it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah, it's okay. Will it be the last time? Who knows? Who knows? But let's dive into it. So Cleveland, they're in the offseason. They lost to the Chiefs in the division round. Was a heartbreaking loss. Almost had Chad Henne running the ball for the first down, but instead Tyreek Hill sealed the deal there. But the Browns, in your opinion, what does the Browns need to get in free agency when they have about $21 million to spend as of right now in cap space? What does the Browns need more of?
If the Cleveland Browns only signed linebackers and drafted linebackers this offseason, I would not be upset. Our linebacker group is probably one of the worst in the NFL. And it was very evident against the Chiefs because none of them could guard Travis Kelce, not even close. And also, how do you let Chad Henne run for nearly a first down on a third and I believe it was 14? And he almost gets it for Chad Henne. I mean, he's older than like the books in your school. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like he's dusty, he's crusty, and he's musty. He shouldn't be in the league still. He's awful. And you let that man run for almost a first down. When I saw Chad Henne roll out of the pocket on that play, I was like, we got him. We're going to get the punt. We got him. And he just kept going because there was no one there. There was nobody watching him at all.
It's a clear lane for Henne.
Yeah, exactly. It
existed there.
It was just wide open, green space to run through to get the first down. And, you know, it's awful. And so I'd say linebackers, and then you got to get another corner to help out Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward is a great cornerback. If you get another corner, that'll be both outside positions are really like strong there. So opposing offenses would have problems with that. And then you also need better defensive backs, just safeties. You know, I'd say for the Browns, really just linebackers and defensive backs, honestly.
I agree with that too. There's another piece that you also forgot to mention is another defensive end. I know Myles Garrett is a true defensive end for you guys, but one of your defensive end, if I'm not mistaken, is Sheldon Richardson, who was injured the whole entire season.
He's the tackle. Our other end is Olivier Vernon.
Olivier Vernon, my bad. But yeah. Olivier Vernon is hitting the free agent market, and he's gonna be gone from then. But you want to get another defensive end in free agency, or you're looking for that more in the draft. But I just feel like you got to get somewhere another piece for Myles Garrett. Because Myles Garrett is a great piece, but you need to combine it with another one. It's kind of like how J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones is in Arizona, but you want to kind of match that up to make pressure, especially since Big Ben signed his contract today to re-sign with the Steelers today. So,
oh, dude. I'm not worried about Big Ben at all.
You worried about Lamar Jackson?
I can sack Big Ben this year. Okay, he can't move. So honestly, we could have any Joe Schmo at defensive line, and Big Ben will topple.
How about Lamar Jackson?
Well, who can tackle Lamar Jackson? Come on, like that's an impossible task. How do you sack Lamar Jackson? If you by the time you get past your block, he's already 15 yards downfield running with the ball. Like, what do you want to do?
That sounds like the Browns right there, honestly, against Baltimore. But hey, you dominated the Bengals, but it's always a close game against you two.
Yeah, well, you know, division rival, battle for Ohio, anything can happen.
Joe Burrow beats Baker Mayfield. That's a headline next year. I'm already predicting that right now. Joe Burrow is gonna get a win against Cleveland. I'm gonna put this right now.
I really don't care, just as long as we sweep Pittsburgh. I don't care.
If you
I don't like
Pittsburgh, okay,
here's the thing. Cincinnati's not gonna win the division. I'm not worried about them, even if they steal from us. Not worried about them. I'm not worried about the Steelers because Big Ben's ancient, and then who's gonna be their running back? And then honestly, I'm not scared of Juju if he comes back. Not scared of those wide receivers either. And that offensive line is very mediocre. The Browns are a better team than the Steelers, and
no question about it.
That now. So I'm not worried about the Steelers. I'm worried about the Ravens because they had a little bit of a down year, disappointing year last year. And if Lamar takes a big step in the passing game, and I mean, it might be over for everybody in the league.
That's true. He can pass and he already got the running down, no problem. But he just gotta keep throwing those balls, especially when he has weapons like Mark Andrews in there, and he got a speedy wide receiver in there as well. So it's like, where is those connections to Lamar Jackson now? It's like that's the only main key for Lamar Jackson in order for Baltimore to go over Cleveland. But Cleveland could get it somehow in the AFC title, all their divisions. So who knows on that one, you know? What is your prediction on the Cleveland? I want to hear this one. What do you think Cleveland's going to be the record next year? If I look at the schedule next year, kind of give a prediction about it.
Well, I haven't seen the schedule yet for this year, but honestly, if the Browns go out and they get better linebackers that play well as a unit together, and then they get a better defensive back and maybe even the defensive end, their defense needs to get better. If their defense improves, I think the Browns are Super Bowl contenders, like in an unbiased way. I mean, you have Baker Mayfield, who only threw one interception for the last, I believe it was final 10 games of the season last year. So you're playing turnover-free football, and then you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, probably the best backfield in the NFL. And, oh, by the way, you probably have the best offensive line in the league with a great head coach that has a great system. And this is, by the way, this is going to be the first year that Baker Mayfield is going to have the same head coach in week one as the year he did, as he did the year before.
It's crazy.
He's comfortable in the system. And I think the Browns are going to really, really, really turn some heads this year.
That's true, especially when Kyle Van Noy that the Dolphins released in free agency, which is a good middle linebacker for you guys right there. If you pick him up with the right pricing and everything like that, that will be a great key for you guys. Kyle Van Noy, when I saw him as a fan, he was a great linebacker for us for the year. Besides getting injured in the ACL against the Raiders game, but I think that would be a nice pickup for you. Just gotta get the right price for him. But I feel maybe the Patriots might get Kyle Van Noy because he's familiar with them and Bill Belichick. But that would be a nice key for you guys, especially if you need linebacker help from Chad Henne running down the street like he was like Lamar Jackson. You guys like, no. When that happened, I was like, no freaking way. Yeah. Chad Henne, of all people, I understand like if it's like another quarterback. If it's Tom Brady, that's even worse. He can't even run at all.
I don't know. At least Tom Brady is someone who like belongs in the league. Like,
well, yeah, no, that's why Chad Henne is a backup quarterback. That's the same thing with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a backup quarterback for a reason. There's a reason why he's not a starting quarterback. You know?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Just it's bad memories, but I know this year is going to be a lot better.
Oh, I guarantee that. Now, here's a subject I want to talk about. Your Browns. So OBJ is coming back. Your coach said he's doing well. Now, do you see he still has 3 years left in his contract? Do you really seriously want to see OBJ still there as a Browns right now? He's taking $15 million in the cap right now. Now, do you think down the stretch, do you think OBJ is going to stay there for long term or is he going to stay there for short term?
I see no reason why he wouldn't finish out his contract in Cleveland. I don't think the Browns should trade him. I think that Odell can be a really, really dangerous weapon to add to an already solid offense. I know his stats might go down because they're mainly a running offense, but Odell got injured right when Baker Mayfield started to figure out the system. So while you see Baker's numbers without Odell and you're like, wow, well, he might be better without Odell. No, that's not why he's better. He's not better without Odell. He's better because he didn't have an offseason because of COVID to learn the playbook, and he had a new playbook to learn, and he just finally got the hang of it at around the time that Odell got hurt. So it's not because of Odell that Baker Mayfield started figuring it out. And now it is confidence for Baker because he knows he can do it without Odell. And now you're going to add a great wide receiver to an already talented offense. I think that the Browns really need to keep Odell and make sure it works because I think he could be a really valuable weapon, especially in the playoffs.
I can believe that. I'm still on that side where Baker got so good without Odell. It was like, that was crazy. But I understand that. I think this year for Odell to prove people again that he can work with Baker Mayfield, you just got to contribute and not try to ask for the ball too much, for me, at least for Odell. But it's like kind of contributing to everybody. And then I think then it will prove to OBJ that he should belong in the Cleveland Browns, not somewhere else like Arizona, as I heard earlier. I was like, Arizona with D-Hop and everything like that? No. Yeah. That sounds super ridiculous to me. That's just asking to be like ball hoggers right there, especially since you still got Larry Fitzgerald, who's probably going to stay another year. It's going to be like Udonis Haslem in the NBA, honestly. But, you know, but Fitzgerald still got some juice at least. A little bit. It'll come out of the blue, but I'm just saying. But OBJ should honestly stay in the Browns. But I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised by the way the Browns are.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to trade Odell. I mean, I think he's a good teammate. I'm not buying this whole that Odell is this like locker room problem. I'm not buying it. I think he's a good teammate. Last year when we were struggling, there was reports that he was calling meetings to try to unite the team. Odell was leading that charge. I'm not buying that this whole Odell is like a locker room problem thing. I'm not buying it. I think that's all just, the media hyping it up to be something that it's not to be. Odell's really talented when he's healthy. And I think that if he accepts his role and accepts that he's not going to put up these incredible, amazing stats that he did in New York, I think that he could be something that is he could be a part of something great in Cleveland if he accepts his role.
Yeah, like he could be like Antonio Brown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How Antonio Brown played was a contributor. Like everybody, like there was a playing of Pro Bowls, for example. I'm just giving an example right here. Like the Pro Bowls, like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You had Antonio Brown, but they were just contributors. So if OBJ can be like a contributor like that with Jarvis Landry, you got David Njoku in there, and you got Austin Hooper, and whoever you're gonna bring into the offseason is going to be a great matchup and could give you guys a contender. Now, you still got to get to go through the Chiefs as well because the Chiefs are right now running the AFC right now. So that's going to be very interesting for the Browns. But I think if OBJ can be like that, then that team is going to be good. As long as Baker Mayfield does not throw any turnovers, he should be good. Yeah, that's how I feel for the Browns moving forward, especially that division is starting to flip the tide. There you go. I'm screwing up my words there. It happens. But hey, man. But let's talk about some free agency that's happened. J.J. Watt going to Arizona Cardinals. No one thought that he was going to Arizona. I thought he was going to go Green Bay, Pittsburgh, maybe the Titans. Of all teams, Arizona. And his quote saying that he trusts in Kyler Murray and he believed him since when he met him in 2015 when Kyler Murray was in high school camp and J.J. Watt was there. So do you buy into that, or was he just getting there for money wise?
No, I buy in that he believes he's in a winning culture in Arizona. I think he wants to win, and I think that's why he went there. But I also think that this shows that J.J. Watt thinks he has probably about 4 or 5 more years left in him, because honestly, that's how far away the Cardinals are from being real contenders, about 4 or 5 years. So I think J.J. Watt went to a place where he knows he's teaming up with a good, solid defense. You have Budda Baker. You have Chandler Jones, Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt both lead the league in sacks since, I believe, 2012. So you're teaming up with a guy who you've been familiar with, and you guys are going to wreck some quarterbacks. So I think he did it he thinks he could have individual success. He's getting a good amount of money, and he thinks probably in a few years he'll be able to win a Super Bowl. I think that's why he went to Arizona.
Yeah, that's what I thought so too when he joined Arizona, because he had Chandler Jones, like you mentioned, especially since that Russell Wilson incident. Now that they're not going to get no line, they'll just run over Russell Wilson in that offensive line, since everybody keeps hearing about Russell Wilson. And then you still got the Rams to deal with, and then you still got the 49ers, which Jimmy G is not the answer for them as well, even though they swear that Jimmy G is their quarterback. That's what everybody says, and then they trade you away. That's like, we promised that we're not going to trade him away, and then they trade him away like 2 weeks later. Like, no. Like, but I don't know. It was kind of odd when he picked the Cardinals because he could have went to Green Bay, but the Green Bay didn't have the money he was asking for. Because I feel like JJ was trying to get some bank into it, but at the same time being a good team, good contender that could try to contend in the NFC at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of questionable why he went to Arizona, but I think it was best for him there since he got the money he wanted. That was for 2 years. He was guaranteed $23 million. So even if he get cuts like today, he's still guaranteed $23 million right there and then. So it doesn't matter if he gets cut or he plays for 2 years. He's guaranteed $23 million no matter what.
Exactly.
So,
and another thing is, I mean, you know, these NFL players are real life people too, and they need to pick a place where they want to live. And Arizona, by all accounts, everything I've heard about it is that it's a really beautiful place to live. And honestly, I mean, would you rather live in Arizona or in Green Bay, Wisconsin? I mean, probably you'll rather live in Phoenix where it's, you know, nice all year round. You know, I've heard the weather there is really nice and there's a lot of things to see. While I was in Wisconsin, it's, I mean, every winter is, you know, you're snowed inside. So.
No, that's true, but at least you get back to your native grounds, and then it's kind of historic, and then you get used to the cold. So when playoff time comes, when you go up north, it doesn't feel like, damn, it's so cold in this place. Now you're just normal with that. Which Aaron Rodgers thought that he could work with that, but instead that didn't happen during the NFC Championship game. He used that excuse, honestly. But then to talk about Dak Prescott, the fun contract, 3rd year now, is like 3 titles, honestly, trying to discuss Dak Prescott's contract with Jerry Jones, honestly. I've been hearing reports about $44 million a year, trying to get like somewhere almost to Patrick Mahomes' money. Do you think that's Patrick Mahomes? Do you think Dak Prescott is worth that money, honestly?
Dak Prescott, talent-wise, is not worth that money. But the leadership that he brings to that team is almost worth that money. But here's if I'm Dak Prescott, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say this. Okay, I am not as talented as Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, because he's not, right?
No.
But I think you have to look at it and say, yes, I might be able to get that money somewhere, but my team is not going to be as good as it can be because it's going to take up a lot of the cap space, right? So if you're Dak, I say you take a little bit less money, stay with the Cowboys, and let them use the rest of their money to go sign, you know, good free agents to make that team a better team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because you're a good leader, and a good leader on a good team around him becomes a great quarterback. And Dak is not a great talent, but he's a great leader, and I think he needs to realize that. And if he does, then he'll take a pay cut. You know, he'll get a little bit less than what he's asking for, and you know, the team will be able to improve, and the Cowboys might actually have success with Dak because he's a really good leader, and they'll have a good team around him. But if he takes that money and they give him that money, they're going to have a hard time putting a team around him. They're going to be mediocre, much like they have been for the past 10, 15 years.
Ever since they won the last championship, pretty much, for the Cowboys. Not being realistic. But to talk about Dak, he's a great leadership, but he's great in the locker room. The money-wise is kind of – I understand why he wants that money because – Jerry Jones has overpaid so many players there. He's overpaid his offensive line. He's overpaid Zeke. You see where Zeke has gone now. He's depleted ever since they got paid the man. And they pay expensive defensive ends, the wide receiver, Amari Cooper, for example. And Dak's like, wait a minute, I'm taking like cheap like marketed deals. I mean, where's my contract? Where's my overpaid contract at? Yeah. Which – if you think about it, if they give him that contract, they can't build nothing on that defense. That defense is horrendous.
Yeah.
Yes, they try to look like, oh, look, we're so perfect there. Not really. They're still the same team that you saw against the Washington and the Arizona game. Ran the heck out of them, out of the country, really. They're not even America's team there, honestly. It's America's worst team there, honestly, in that division. In that division. Them and the Eagles are going to be down in that division. They're going to be the bottom of the division. I understand that division can go either or, but those two are going to be the bottom. The way how both of those teams are looking, this is going to be honest. But back to the main point on Dallas, I don't think Dak should get like another franchise tag. Honestly, it's going to be like $40 million. I think you should re-sign him for another franchise tag, which they could do that again. But if not, I'll just let him walk or walk him off. Because you still got Andy Dalton in there. You might just want to re-sign Andy Dalton and try to find somebody else. But good luck for anybody who's going to try to sign Dak for that much money that he wants in free agency, honestly. Like, I don't know I don't know which team will be a sucker to pick Dak Prescott off. Maybe Jacksonville, out of all people, will probably pick him up for some odd reason, but
Well, they'll have Trevor Lawrence by then.
Oh, yeah.
Trevor Lawrence by then, so they'll be set at quarterback. But Dak Prescott, I feel like if you franchise tag him again, you're basically saying, we don't want you here. Because if you franchise Dak again, he's going to be really frustrated. He's going to be really upset. And he's probably not going to want to come back after you franchise him again. He's probably going to walk in free agency.
That's what I feel is going to happen. That's because the way how their contract dispute, and this is like third year now. It's not like this is a first year or second. No, this is a third year now. So it's going to be really tight, and especially now Jerry Jones is not really happy with Dak too much, especially since he got injured that game, which that's not his fault, but it's gruesome. But
yeah,
it's gonna be rocky, and it's gonna be, you never know. And Dak's gonna test the free agent market to see how much his value is really. So it's gonna be determined by that too as well. But yeah, it's an ugly mess over there in the Cowboys nation over there, and it's not gonna look pretty. Their chances of
like never really has over there for a while.
Oh yeah, no question about it. But that offense with those wide receivers is like, okay, they should at least make the playoffs, right? Yeah. No, didn't happen. Not even CeeDee Lamb combined with Amari Cooper. So like, what happened there?
Well, I mean, they have a regressing offensive line, they have an awful defense, and they have a regressing running back. So. Like, here's the thing. For wide receivers to be effective, so many things in a play have to go right in order to use good wide receivers. Oh, yeah, and their starting quarterback was hurt last year, too. So it's like, I'll excuse that because I think that if Dak comes back healthy and they have him on the team, like, the Cowboys are going to be way better than they were last year just because Dak is just a lot better, and the team rallies around Dak. And even though they're not as talented as they should be, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, they're going to play hard for Dak because that's their leader.
Well, you got to remember Dak. In that time he was playing, he went 6-11, and then during those times he had to play catch up in those games. Remember, the Falcons blew that lead, but they had to play catch up. Cleveland, for example, your team was beating them by 38-10, and Dak was trying to do a comeback there, which I ultimately failed, thankfully, because it was going to be another one of those stories of Dak saved the day coming back, but he was coming back too much, and it was like, why? I understand the defensive problems, but like the offense wasn't clicking as well, so it was kind of tough for him, and that's why, again, with the contract, he went 6-11. Like, do they really want him back is a question. It's like, you show me this, you're not showing me a great record like your rookie year, 13-3, and ever since then, you had like Buffalo coming to town on Thanksgiving, destroying you, and it was like, wait a minute, this is not the America's team for Thanksgiving. This looks like Buffalo's team, honestly, but it looked horrendous, and I don't know. It's gonna be tough for Dak. And then we're trailing the Giants before he got injured in that game too. So it wasn't like it was about to be the same exact thing. So it's gonna be tough for that contract dispute, which is gonna be probably the high moment besides the Watson trade stuff. That's where you're gonna hear mostly in free agency, honestly, Watson and Dak Prescott contract. So it's gonna be very interesting in that point as well. Well, I want to switch it now to the NBA since the NBA is going on right now. I know your Cavaliers were in the top seed, and then with Sexton being the Nets twice, which was shocker. But what has happened to the Cavaliers? Just tell me what happened to the Cavaliers. Now they're like in the 11th or 12th seed as it currently right now. So what happened to the Cavs?
Yeah, they just came back down to earth. It was just kind of the beginning of the year. They started off hot. They played the Nets really well. They come back down to earth. They had a really big lead. I believe it was probably a 13-point lead against the Indiana Pacers last night to go for their 5th straight win, and they blew it. And, it's fine because you're a young team. You have Colin Sexton, who he's improved. He is becoming a good player. And then you have Darius Garland, who's improving. And then you're also deciding you're going to get rid of Andre Drummond, which is fine because you got Jared Allen now, who's playing really well, really great, really efficient, and he's rebounding the ball well. And he's 5 years younger than Andre Drummond. So you got to upgrade at center there. Your team is not very deep. Larry Nance is hurt. You have Kevin Love, who's always hurt now. And even when he's playing, he's not really that good. So the Cavs have a lot of trouble. And I think that the reason why they're seeming so down now is because they just came back down to earth to who they really were.
Yeah, that's what I really see with the Cavaliers. Like, I thought it was going to be like with the Knicks as well. Because the Knicks are like the 4th or 5th seed, surprisingly. I thought the Cavs were still going to be there, but then the Cavs depleted, but the Knicks are still there, which was a shocker. But the Cavaliers, I thought there would be a good team this year. The way how Sexton was playing, it was like, okay, can he bring this more into the table? But then Cavaliers went backwards and went right back to the bottom of the depth chart of the Eastern Conference. So it's gonna be a lot. I know I've been hearing a lot of trade rumors about Andre Drummond getting traded somewhere. They say the Raptors, and then they say somewhere else, the 76ers. And it's kind of sad to see how the Cavaliers going from the 2016 championship and then now seeing them still in the bottom of the bottom feeders, you know?
That's what happens when LeBron James leaves your team. It's a LeBron effect.
LeBron was the Cavaliers, honestly. Without LeBron, it shows when LeBron left in 2010 season was right back down.
Yeah, easy. And then you had Kyrie leaving. I mean, there was a lot of things that went wrong for Cleveland between 2016 and like 2019. There's a lot of things that went wrong.
Yeah, Kyrie left thinking he was LeBron James, and then going to the Celtics, he's nothing. He's only good with another superstar with him. That's the main guy.
Yeah,
that's what I feel about Kyrie. You know, like KD's the main guy, Kyrie's there, and then James Harden, and Kyrie's like a good secondary guy, not the main man. I feel.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. But I think he's talented, but I don't think he's gonna like carry your team to any sort of postseason.
No. Like it shows. Like for example, the Celtics versus the Bucks when Kyrie was the starter, they didn't take nowhere. The Bucks almost swept the heck out of the Celtics 4-1 series. So it shows that Kyrie is not the main guy. But do you think Colin Sexton should have deserved like an all-star appearance or no?
No, not yet. There was a lot of guys that deserved it this year. Colin Sexton, he puts up a lot of points. He's not extremely efficient, though he's getting better. He just needs to find his way. I think he could be kind of like a Devin Booker kind of guy in the future, though, if he takes the next step up. That's what I was going to compare the Cavs to. I would compare them to the Suns of about 2 or 3 years ago. They're very bad, but they have a really good young star who can develop into something great. And then you have a really good young center. If the Cavs get a nice veteran, kind of like a Chris Paul, that can facilitate their team and lead the team, you know, maybe they'll find their way back into the playoffs soon, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is much better getting into the playoffs than the Western Conference, put it that way. Let's just put it that way. The losing record at 16-18, if you go to the Western Conference, you're out of the playoffs. Let's put it that perspective with Eastern, especially in the Western Conference when the Jazz and the Suns are the top 2 seeds in that conference. So that tells you those 2 teams have been improved a lot, especially. But Payton, I do appreciate you coming on the show here. I know you're gonna have a brand new show on the Aquaports down the stretch with Miles, which that's gonna be a great show. It's gonna be coming soon. Check them out and check out Payton Doyle's show, man. His show is the greatest. Tell them where you can find them, Payton.
You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff.
All right, Payton. I really appreciate you, Payton, for so much. Thank you guys for listening to E on the Mic, episode 21. I'm your host, E, aka Ethan, and I'll see you next time on episode 22. Until then, see you then.